Designing a wedding is not just about picking out your color palette or telling your floral designer what flowers you don't want for your wedding. If you've watched any of my other videos, I talk a little bit here and there about telling your love story throughout your wedding. But what does that really even mean? I wanted to walk you through some examples of weddings of clients, friends, and even my own wedding to show you what that process and what the results look like. Before I dive into these examples, I would just start thinking about how you and your partner met, what you love to do together, what keeps your relationship going and alive. I'm sure it's changed throughout the years. It doesn't have to be anything crazy or extravagant or so out of the box, but just think about sort of the foundations of where your relationship is. Let me give you some examples to sort of get your creative juices flowing. You'll kind of get a gist of where I'm going with this. Maybe you're both introverts, or even if you're not introverts, you just really don't like the idea of being the center of attention in front of 100+ people for an entire day, and that just really gives you anxiety. And you realize you and your partner, you both love to travel. A vacation weekend with your closest friends and family is really exciting to you. And that's what one of my best friends did. She planned a 30-person wedding, or actually I think it was even less than that. It was basically immediate family and the people who would have been her wedding party. And we all went to St. Lucia. We had an amazing wedding weekend, and it just felt like a vacation with friends. And I touched base with her because she got married, I don't know how many years ago now, over 10 years ago. That's exactly what I thought. I was wondering why they decided to do that versus a big wedding, because originally they were planning for a bigger wedding, and then they switched gears and we eventually went on this trip together, and it was a beautiful, beautiful way to celebrate. And that's what made them happy, and that's what they did, and I don't think they have any regrets about that. Maybe you both love food and you don't want the traditional steak and salmon, chicken and fish, whatever. I had a couple who were from 2 different cultures. The groom was Chinese, the bride was Jewish, and they both love food. They really wanted to also bring some of their own cultures to the wedding and incorporate that. So we had falafel on wheels for Ariel. We had Dina's dumplings for Dan. And then we also added tacos to the mix because the wedding was in Los Angeles and they wanted to give a flavor of LA to their guests, many of whom were traveling from out of town. This was a really fun way to just incorporate a different kind of food format. And we still had a sit-down dinner where everyone had assigned seats and things like that, but people were able to kind of get up in the hour or so to grab whatever food they wanted, and if they didn't want tacos but wanted more dumplings, they could go do that. And so I think the variety was nice and it felt casual but also elevated. My clients, May and Noah, work in the film industry. They love movies and they're filmmakers, and so they had little touches of that throughout their wedding. Starting with their welcome sign, they had a movie poster of the 2 of them. It was super cute. I really loved that idea. Then their guest book, it was an Oppenheimer coffee table book. And now that I'm thinking about it, maybe they already owned it. I'm not sure if they bought it for this purpose, but regardless, it's a piece of decor that they can always have on their coffee table at home. And it'll also be filled with messages from their wedding day from their family and friends. They also included little mini Oscar statuettes on each of the place settings, which I thought was really cute. It was also very subtle, and it did go with sort of the color palette. It was holiday, and so gold was definitely not out of place. And so I thought it was a cute little touch for the place settings. They also had this little station where guests could write their favorite movies and leave them a note in an envelope. I thought it was really cute. It was also in a red envelope for May's Chinese culture, so that was another personal touch point. I do like these little interactive moments. Like for instance, they didn't have a photo booth, but they had that, and then they had a couple of other things that people could engage with that kind of keep them occupied and entertained throughout the night, outside of just eating and drinking. And maybe they don't want to be talking to people all the time. So there's things for people to do and engage with as they're hanging out. So for John and my wedding, we really wanted to make sure it felt like a party. We did want the standard, kind of more traditional elements like the ceremony, cocktail hour, and dinner, but we did do a buffet dinner and that went by a little more quickly, and we really wanted to get to the dancing part. We met at EDC New York, which is a music festival. I don't think it's in New York anymore. It's an electronic music festival. And, throughout our late 20s and our 30s, we really just love to party. Throw parties with their friends. John would DJ in New York at different bars and things like that. And so we really wanted to just kind of recreate that party vibe with all of our friends. We chose Millwick because it has a kind of glam vibe. It's really moody. It really can feel like a club, especially when you turn the disco light on and you turn some of the lights off. And that's what we really loved about that venue and one of the reasons we went with it. We also added an hour to the reception. Instead of, 4 hours, it was 5 hours, just so essentially we could have the after party there. People could stay, whoever wanted to. And John did DJ part of it. I danced a lot and it was a ton of fun. And that was the vibe we were going for. Nobody knows you and your partner as much as you know yourselves. You know your love story best. And I hope these examples get your creative juices flowing a little bit and help you kind of start figuring out what you want for your day and how you want to show up. So whether you love adventure, being outside, you love food, you love video games, whatever it may be, maybe you just really want to be extra on your wedding day, you can show up however you want. There's a lot of different ways to execute whatever your vision is. I hope you're excited about figuring out your story and taking this next step as you're designing your wedding. Just remember that there isn't a right or wrong answer. It's just about you doing you. If you enjoyed this video, you might enjoy this one about wedding design. It gives a little bit of an overview of, in the more traditional sense, of deciding on tangible elements like color, etc. So please take a look at that if you're interested in diving into that a little bit more. Thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate you being here, making it to the end, to this spot. If you enjoyed watching, if this was helpful, please click that like button for me. Your support is really appreciated. And if you want to help me grow my YouTube channel, I'll be sharing more wedding planning tips, more BTS content. Please hit that subscribe button and you'll get more wedding content week to week. Until next time, I'm wishing you the best in your wedding planning journey.